Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earth and Sky, and those of you joining us online. We always appreciate you all so much. Thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us at youtube.com/Earth and Sky Center, which is probably where you're watching this right now. And once you hit the subscribe button, you can hit the bell button to choose how often you want to get our notifications. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about Christmas. Last week we talked about Yule. If you haven't already seen that episode, you might want to look at that. And I want to talk a little bit about some different traditions around the world and how we bring those together for our own lives. How you might want to infuse some things into your life and to think about old traditions, new traditions, what you want to create within your own family, within your home, within your own personal traditions. And there are certain things that are fairly universal. Many of them date back to the original pagan traditions where much of the holiday has come from. And some of those traditions that seem to carry through many, many countries are things like feasting. Everybody has foods that they like. The foods will vary by region. Caroling. A lot of countries will have different versions of singing, whether it's singing and dancing around the Christmas tree that you bring in on Christmas Eve, or perhaps caroling through the village, or maybe it's just singing songs with your friends and family, or listening to the carols and thinking about singing them, or singing them by yourself in the car. But singing the songs of the season is something that is very common in many, many countries, and many countries around the world have customs that go along with the Christmas trees as well, whether it dates back to some of the older traditions with hanging candles in the tree, which we do not recommend that you do now, or many, many different variations of types of ways to decorate the trees. Sometimes it is with food items. I know when I was a young girl, we would string popcorn and cranberries and sometimes put different fruits on the tree and put it outside for the birds after Christmas as well, which can always be fun. Some traditions will actually do primarily things like that on the tree. Some cultures, like often in the U.S., we have a wide variety of pre-made decorations that we use to enliven our homes as we decorate the trees within our own homes and bringing the lights onto the tree, kind of mimicking that old world feeling of the candles while being a little bit safer, hopefully. Some of the other things that are pretty much across many, many traditions is the Yule Log, the bonfire, the Yule Log, some type of festival that includes the fire is a very big tradition in many, many places. You may notice in your home you love getting cozy by the fire in the winter, or perhaps you do the modern version of the Yule Log with one that you can eat as a cake. They all come back to those original traditions, and it's a wonderful way to think about the friends and the family and the people that you have in your life. It's a way to bring the light into yourself. There are many festivals that talk about the Festival of Lights, whether you're talking about Diwali or Hanukkah or many other different ones where we talk about the Festival of Lights, because this is the time where we're bringing the light back into our lives. We're bringing the light back into ourselves as we go into these deeper months of planning that the winter brings, as we get cozy and huddle into our homes and hunker down for the cold weather. It is the time where the sun is actually beginning to return. We have, since the summer solstice, which is down here, so we had since the summer solstice lost a little bit of daylight every single day, and then that's sped up a little bit as we get closer and closer to Yule, which we have just passed on the 21st, and that was when we had our longest night of the year. So hopefully you took some time to go within yourself and think of what you wanted to plan for the coming year, and think about what you wanted to bring into yourself as you had that long night of the year. And now we celebrate with the Festival of Lights, and we come back, the returning of the sun, the awakening of the light within us, the awakening of the light within our communities, the awakening of the light of seeing the light. And that can go into that could be many life talks right there of how we could talk about the awakening of the light within yourself, within your life, within your community. But there are many other customs that can be a little bit different and very unique with certain countries as well. If you haven't already, you might want to check out our Faces of Santa video if you want to trip around the world to learn a little bit more depth about some of the countries and what they all do, and how Santa is able to visit all of those houses in one night, when it's really more like 1 month that he has, depending on where the country celebrates and when they celebrate. But that will take you on a fun trip around the world, and we will have that video linked below in the comments if you want to check that out. There are a few countries that celebrate a female version of Santa. In some countries they call it Christkindl or Christkind, and Austria, Switzerland, and Germany, they have that female version that will come into bringing gifts and spreading cheer. In Italy, they have Befana, the beautiful witch, who had turned into somebody that, if you want that whole story, you'll have to watch that video I just told you about that's linked below. Fascinating story about Befana. She's one of my favorites. And in Sweden, they have a very interesting tradition with a Yule Goat, a 3.2-ton straw Yule Goat. The Yule Goat actually dates way back into the pagan cultures, but in 1966, they started the tradition of creating this straw Yule Goat, and they create it every year. And the Yule Goat that is in the center square is 42 feet high and 23 feet wide and 3.6 tons of straw. And I do believe they now have a webcam if you want to watch the Yule Goat from the can't remember the night, but basically from just before Christmas until the New Year, you can watch the Yule Goat and until they dismantle it. There is, you also might be aware of Hanukkah, which is 8 nights, 8 wonderful, crazy, magical nights with a festival of nights. But are you aware that in Iceland they have 13 nights that they celebrate? And on these 13 nights, the young children in Iceland are visited by 13 Yule lads, a different one each night. And so they put their shoes in the window downstairs, and then off to bed they go. And while they're asleep, if they have been good, they will receive candy in their shoes. And if they have been bad, they will have rotten potatoes in their shoes. Not very fun. So you really want to be good, and you want to appease all of 13 of the Yule lads. Hopefully they approve of you. In Ireland, the Irish will often leave a tall red candle in the center of their window to symbolize the warmth and the shelter that is available during the winter months, and just symbolizing that coming togetherness and the warmth of home. It's something that we should not take for granted. If you do have a home, it's something not to take for granted. Sometimes we can get mired into thinking we have a lot of stresses or challenges in life, but we lose sight of the things that are so important that we do have. Perhaps having a phone, shelter, food, any of those things, having heat in a home, having water in a home. Each of those are things not to be taken for granted, but to feel the gratitude that you do have those, and that is available in your life. And so the red candle in the window can symbolize to others that is something that's being offered as well. And it might be a time of year that you want to think about who maybe you want to bring into your home. If there is somebody that is in need that you want to bring in, whether it's for a longer term or just for an evening or just for a night, just to share that warmth and to share that shelter and to share the riches that we truly have in this day and age in a country where there is so much richness that oftentimes we lose sight of those things that we take for granted and we expect to have, instead of recognizing the amazing magnitude and beauty of what those things are. In Poland, dinner does not begin until after the first star shines in the sky. And there's always an extra place setting that is at the table should an unexpected guest arrive, because they want to make sure whoever arrives unexpectedly is already welcomed in and they feel at home and they're not intruding. I like that kind of a thought a lot. It might be something that you might want to add into your own traditions to have that extra place setting. And if somebody calls and they're unexpectedly, you want to invite them over, you're ready, or someone, should they be walking by, it could be somebody that you invite in. This is really an amazing time of year to take stock of the blessings that you have, to take stock of those things that you have worked for and those things that you have achieved and those things that mean something to you, whether it's something physical and tangible or whether it's relationships or ideas or emotions or spirituality or whatever it is. This is a great time to take stock of that, to think of what you have, to feel the gratitude for the things that you do have, and to think of what you can share with others and how you can offer that abundance out to others, whether it's a small act of kindness or it's something bigger that you're wanting to come up with. It's a wonderful time to think of how you can give back. What can you do for others that might be out of your normal wheelhouse and might be unexpected for anything that you would have considered doing before? The greatest of miracles happens when we wish for things for others. It's an amazing spark of light that happens when we wish for something for ourselves and we start to create it. But when we make those wishes for others, that is when the miraculous happens. That is when the light really expands and spreads throughout our communities, our families, our homes, and through the entire world. I hope this Christmas time that you will think about how you can bring that richness into the lives of others around you, whether they be strangers or people that you know, and to think about some other new traditions that you might want to bring in along the way. I hope you all have a very wonderful Christmas season, a happy holiday, whatever festival it is that you be celebrating this time of year. I hope that it is happy and jolly and brings you a wonderful sense of light, peace, and hope. We look forward to seeing you in the new year. Happy holidays, everyone. And please remember to subscribe to us if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button on Facebook. That would be a great Christmas wish that we would love to receive from each of you. Thank you.